in the next panel, the board members of the EGLCC you have already met, they're going to switch their hats a little bit, as we say in German, because they all represent different national gay and lesbian chambers of commerce. And we would like to understand a little bit better, what are they doing? What are the expectations? How do they really specifically work? And the first one I would like to call upon is Toby, again in Stockholm. And I would like to understand, what are your local and regional projects, and which events are you having in the Scandinavian LGBT Chamber of Commerce?
Thank you, Leon. Yes, I'm up here. I don't have a physical hat, but I will try to look as as I can. Well, you know, SGLCC, the Scandinavian LGBT Chamber of Commerce, was founded some 8 years ago, or slightly more than that. And we actually have two aims, or two visions, and one is to be the voice of the LGBT business community within the Scandinavian region, and the second is to provide a dialogue platform for LGBT inclusion for the private sector and the corporate sector in general. And in order to do so, we want to provide our so in a way you have two lines, parallel lines, that we need to create events and be relevant for. But we also want them to merge and meet each other. So the aim is to create a network. We have monthly events, networking events for our LGBT business owners and LGBT business community. We had one last night, actually. And we also have almost monthly, every 6 weeks, we have another event that focuses more on LGBT inclusion in the private and corporate sector, where we also invite the LGBT business owners to provide their input and points of views. So we have found that also the corporations and the relations, as we mentioned before, when with other organizations, we from SGLCC from day number one have started out of reaching out to other organizations on how to combine our efforts. So we work very closely with other bilateral chambers of commerce, like AmCham and Dutch Cham and the French Chamber of Commerce in Scandinavia, but also with various embassies, the US and British embassies here in Scandinavia, but also the Swedish embassies abroad. We do events in other parts of the world as well, together with them. So it has been really good for us also to, of course, partner with the other chambers as we get more people and more corporates into the room than we would have, especially in the beginning, by doing our own events. And of course, the engagement would be more relevant. So just a little commercial here. We are going to have a rather big event on May 11th, together with our partner Randstad, a Dutch company. So anyone who wants to be in Stockholm on May 11th, they're very welcome. And also together with the US ambassador. It's a rather new one. It's an LGBT ambassador to Sweden now, which we're really happy about. And he is, together with SGLCC, is hosting a reception at the US Embassy on June 8th. And of course, everything this is possible through our members, which are the LGBT-owned businesses, but also through our by the donations and support from our corporate partners. And I just want to say thank you, because we also have one of our corporate partners with us. It's been a long time partner with SGLCC, Accenture, and Peter here on the call as well. So an extra thank you to him for supporting SGLCC and what we do.
Thank you very much, Toby. And we can all assume that the various national gay and lesbian chambers of commerce, they are sharing best practice. That's one of the ideas of the EGLCC, and making sure whatever is successful is going to be tried and tested and implemented in other countries as well. What I would like to do from Fabienne, I'd like to know from Fabienne, representing the German Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, is which strategies do you use to recruit diverse businesses? And you define, that is my understanding, diverse businesses as being either LGBTIQ+ owned or managed. Fabienne.
There we are. Before somebody says you are on mute, Fabienne, I unmute myself. We know that. Well, at first, I think to say something about Germany, I mean, everybody thinks that in Germany, everything is equal and the Germany is a powerhouse, economic powerhouse within Europe and everything. But, you know, all this doesn't automatically translate that is some, you know, that mirrors into the LGBTIQ community and the LGBTIQ business. So actually, it's not so. So therefore, I do think our work on a regional basis is also creating the awareness. I mean, we've got the umbrella organization, but within the regions, we just, you know, we do the work. And also the most important for the regional chambers is, of course, to encourage LGBTIQ-owned businesses to register. So this is what our work is, and this is also where we focus on as well, is that we set up, for example, we have set up an ambassador program. This is something that we really are very proud. So we choose ambassadors. It's not only single people like personalities or people that are really engaged in the community, but it can also be, for example, the ERG groups. So we work together closely with different ERG groups in Germany, whether it's the Rhein-Ruhr-Netzwerk or the 0711 in Stuttgart. And you know, these are the networks that are going to be the transporters of our messages. So we will have to, and we want to use all that to happen. And whilst reaching out to all these people, we ourselves within the board have made also commitment to also as the board and the founders of the GGLBC to being actually as diverse as possible. So the board already represents LGBTIQ. So we've got a lesbian, queer, trans, gay, and also people of color. So we try to have the diverse dimensions and the intersectionality that is also really important to represent here. And I think I've read it already in the chat as well, that intersectionality we as LGBTIQ have to bring forward. So all that is a topic. And that is what we would like to stand for. And this is what our ambassador program is forcing forward. Yeah, and also we do also not stop with businesses, because we also have a mandate also for NGOs, because we have NGOs, like we probably will meet one of our NGOs that is also a registered NGO with the GGLBC, to support them with what they're doing actually for the community, and how we can leverage and support them and empower them to get visibility for their cause.
Fabienne, thank you. Pavel, we've learned from you already about the EGLCC database. What I would like to know is how do businesses, how much do they accept this, and how do they register? What is the readiness to register with the database? Remember that the database is one way of helping companies to have a diversified supplier base. So tell us a little bit about more how businesses find and register actually with you.
Sure.
Pavel is representing East Midwest. Oh yeah, you already have it up.
Yeah,
That's your second head.
I just wanted to say that actually swapped the heads, but not a head, but you see a different virtual background behind me. And there is actually a story behind the background. So stay tuned. There will be a quick announcement, I think, close to the end, and you will learn more about why do we have the different colors and what the colors are actually symbolizing. As Juliana said, and as also said at the beginning, so my second head is East meets West. East meets West is the regional chamber. We started our work back in 2013, 14. So we have quite some years of experience. And well, CEE region defined Austria, where I'm calling from, and anything which then goes towards the east. East meaning, I don't know, just the neighboring countries, but further up to Ukraine, Russia, Belarus, and so on. Certainly, there were definitely better days for Central and Eastern Europe, and also from the whole LGBTIQ perspective. And before I tell you more about, so what is it what is the feeling and what is the perception of diverse businesses registering with EGLCC? let me tell you a little bit about East meets West and maybe some specifics, because from this, you will definitely also understand there might be additional kind of helping hand needed. So when it comes to the region of East meets West, you look at ILGA rainbow map, right? So you take the latest one and you see red and green colors. You see the Western countries very much in green, and it symbolizes the acceptance of LGBTIQ rights. Further you move to the east, actually starting from Austria as a middle point, then it gets reddish, and it gets very red further east you go. And actually all of the countries in CEE region are below 50%, with the only one exception, and that's Montenegro, because Montenegro is scoring 63%. We do not have really precise numbers when it comes to businesses or business owners, and they're coming out, and how many are hiding their identity. But what we can use as a certain proxy is from the European Union agency FRA, so the Fundamental Rights Agency, sitting actually here not far away from me in Vienna. And when you look at one of the questions that was about workplace, and the question was about hiding, so fully hiding who the person is, obviously concerning LGBTIQ at workplace. And Europe-wide, it is 26% in average that are hiding fully their sexual orientation or gender identity. When you look at CEE only, this is between 30 and 50%. So you see that actually if, suddenly the numbers are rising. If I then spotlight on few just countries, what the reality is, take for example Poland. So Poland a few years ago started becoming very famous. That was all around these LGBT-free zones. What is an LGBT-free zone? Well, you are born in a city or a village, and suddenly you are unwanted, because the city declared that no, we don't want to have actually LGBTIQ people around us. It has progressed. Few of the countries, few of the cities have actually turned down this declaration. This was mainly through this EU intervention, because suddenly they were losing the European Union funding. But still, there are still quite lots of cities who are really declare themselves as LGBTI free. The trick in Poland is that it is ideology, or how basically the cities are saying that they are against ideology. This makes it super difficult to even make any lawsuit, because you cannot make a lawsuit against what ideology? What is that, right? Moving further, Hungary. Hungary not only was in the prime news some time ago, especially last year, but it will be also after the coming weekend. Why I'm saying it was already, well, there are two legislation pieces which are in Hungary, which actually makes the life of LGBTIQ people quite difficult. The number one is the gender change. You cannot change officially the gender in ID documents, so that basically bans on all gender changes. The second thing was then even more critical. It was almost a kind of propaganda law, because now you cannot advocate and you cannot talk publicly in front of minors about LGBTIQ. What's coming up? Well, now this weekend, these are public elections in Hungary, and part of the elections, you also have a nationwide referendum. So the nationwide referendum, we know very well, has been little manipulated, and the questions made very suggestive and linking LGBTIQ to pedophilia. It's very sad what's happening right now in Hungary. But even more sad is what's happening in Ukraine. And I very much appreciate, Juliane, that you took the initiative, and you reminded us of what's happening, and we paid a 15-20 seconds silence to hear. The reality is that, well, there are two aspects. One aspect is that people are fleeing. Also, LGBTIQ people are fleeing from Ukraine. Well, this would be typically the first countries, the border countries. But let's also be very pragmatic. How big is the chance that they will be staying in Poland if the situation is not good? What is the chance that they will be staying in Hungary or even in Slovakia, where also the situation is not good? So what we expect that they will be moving further to, for example, Austria, Germany, and other countries. But these are those who made it, who probably had the funding and luck to be out. But there are also those who are still in Ukraine. So there, the NGOs we are partnering with, and I think you will see in a minute some of the NGOs in the chat. What they do is that they provide the basic sheltering. So they secure sheltering, they secure medicaments, they secure psychological support to those LGBTIQ people who fled from the very risky regions into the western parts. And today, as a matter of fact, 31st of March, the Transgender International Day of Visibility, super important day. Now, when you look at it through eyes of Ukraine, those who are transgender or those who are transitioning right now, they are even in a great challenge, because what if the gender which is in your travel document is different from the visual gender? You cannot leave the country and you cannot even cross the checkpoint. So really the situation is quite bad. And I wanted to end up with Russia and Belarus. It is still important to talk about these two countries as well, because the reality is that our partner organizations, they either left the country, so they either left Russia, or they are preparing to simply go away. Why? Because they will be now hunted. There is a new list of so-called foreign agents, which is coming up soon. And then they will be definitely on the list and will be unable to operate as an NGO. So despite the situation, we try to help as East meets West. And if you ask me, so what is the direction or the registration? Well, there are those who made it. There are those who came out in business. And we are grateful for them, because what they mean, they are role models. They are those basically who can inspire all of the others. They can really show that, yes, despite all of challenges, despite that there might be a risk, no, it is possible to be out in a business environment. And I just wanted to give you the insights of the region, to give you a bit of glimpse that probably the chances that a business from CEE will simply go and register are not very high. And that's why also any support, either from those who are already out, is needed, but also from the corporate partners. But to finish on a little bit more optimistic note, also we are running events, and the next our prime event and signature event is on the 22nd of July. So this is our International East Meets West conference. This time it will be live, but also in person in Bratislava, so the capital of Slovakia. And well, we'll definitely, it's a full day program, we'll definitely reflect on the current geopolitical situation. One of the topics we have in mind is the work of all of those people and NGOs who had to flee either from Russia, from Ukraine, from Belarus, because they are now in exile and they want to continue the effort. They want to really kind of pick up the thread when they left and move on. And one little insight, I said 22nd July is in Bratislava, our conference. 23rd, by the way, is the Bratislava Pride. So I think there is one more reason why to join even in person.
Pavel, thank you very much. And thank you especially for the insight on the current really concerning situation for the community in Ukraine, and actually also with the tightening and the reducing of the freedom of the press in Russia. Let's not forget the community and our sisters and brothers in Russia. I cannot believe how many people still go out and demonstrate, knowing exactly they're going to be arrested. And I think we shouldn't forget them in those times as well. If you look closely at the logos on your wallpaper on the left-hand side, you will find all the national gay and lesbian chambers of commerce who have just presented themselves. And there is one on the very bottom, which technically speaking is not yet a member, but the OutBritain and OutScotland chamber have been invited to present themselves. Well, it's actually one, but to present themselves here as a potential member of the EGLCC. So I'm handing over to Matt. Are you going to do that? And are you from London, or where do we find you currently?
Thank you so much for having us. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm actually currently based in Edinburgh, Scotland, where it's nice, cloudy, and freezing cold this afternoon. Thank you so much for having us. So OutBritain is the UK's first LGBT+ Chamber of Commerce. Our mission is connecting, supporting, and growing the UK's LGBT+ business community and uniting it with the rest of the world. Achieving economic prosperity is a vital step in any equality movement. And by bringing a greater focus to the value of diversity in procurement and supplier management in the UK, OutBritain is introducing a tried and trusted approach to the UK market, one that has already benefited many LGBT+ people, LGBT-owned businesses, and their allies all over the world through certification. The OutBrands this year will be introducing LGBT+ certification to the UK market for the first time, improve and facilitate economic opportunities for LGBT business owners, and offer its members exclusive access to networking, learning, and social events with our strategic partners and our corporate partners.
So I assume that you always wanted to join the EGLCC, but then COVID came into its way, as many decisions have been postponed in companies. Or what is your, I mean, it's just my personal curiosity, and I did not align with the EGLCC board. I just would like to know, when are you going to be in there?
No, of course. We're currently in discussion on making this happen. We're very excited as we are continuing to expand our strategic partnerships globally and within Europe. Currently, right now, a lot of our focus is on UK centered. We're working with the UK Council for Supplier Diversity, as well as all other minority, underrepresented minority groups here in the UK, which include Disabilities In, Veteran-Owned UK, and We Connect International. Intersectionality is a major focus for us here in the UK, as it is predominantly a focus within all of Europe. And we are really excited and looking forward to working with others throughout Europe.
We all know that the United Kingdom is a front runner in many aspects, not in all of them, but in many aspects of the LGBTIQ community. We also know that with Brexit, there came quite a few backlashes also concerning developments, but we won't have time to dig into that. But I'm sure that the EGLCC can learn quite a bit from what you guys are doing. Okay, we have some time for questions and answers before the first break. Looking at the chat, nobody did the favor of really marking the question with a capital Q in front, but I'm handing over to Fabienne. I discovered one about, well, let's get us started with that one. First question says, what does the EGLCC and the national chambers do to ensure the multiple identities of LGBTIQ people so that they're recognized and the voices of privity? This is not, whatever. What do you do to ensure the multiple identities? Who's going to take that on from the EGLCC board? Fabienne, thank you.
Well, of course, for us, it is very, very important, because if we speak about all this intersectionality and all the pillars and all the dimensions of diversity that are also included in our community, which is sure. I mean, just because we are LGBTIQ doesn't mean that we do not represent the same statistics as how you say, the heterogeneous world is going to do. So we also in the community struggle with patriarchy, or we struggle with discrimination within our community. So it's nothing. It's, you know, we're just part as the whole world is. So we can actually mirror it down. And so what we like to do is to, as I had said also, as for example, we at the GGLBC, we make sure that we try to engage with all the facets of the LGBTIQ. I mean, we're stopping at LGBTIQ, but there is lots of other abbreviations and letters that followed and are following. So we do have to be open. We do have to be open to what is happening in the world, and we do have to be open to what is happening in the LGBTIQ community. And specifically, we have to listen what social sciences is saying, and specifically, we have to hear also where the research is heading to, and really take that in. There is, I know that very well. There is in the UK, there is, for example, an institute that researches into super diversity. So that is at the University of Birmingham. So we have to take also academia in, and we have to take research in, so that we stay, of course, how you say, at the, you know, always at the a nose length ahead, probably. I think that's what I would like to say.
Thank you. Once again, we encourage all of you to really participate actively in the chat. It's quite busy in there. But again, for questions, really put the capital Q in front of it, because for us, it's quite difficult to sort out. I mean, we're on the one hand being attentive in the conference, but or the video conference, it's quite difficult to sort out the actual questions from the really helpful comments which are going on here.
Juliana, there is one question here. I'll take it in. It's from Dawn. It says, how do we encourage solidarity through the act of recognizing the differential power that exists within our own communities in order to empower all our members and representatives?
Been partially covered by your answer, or what we like to expand on that? Would anybody like to expand on that further, Pavel or Tobias?
Yeah, sure. I mean, let me maybe jump in. I think yes. I mean, Fabienne was mentioning quite a lot when it comes to a similar question. Maybe what I would add to it, at least for East meets West, and I think we're also each of us trying to bring the own chamber into EGLCC, and with this to kind of enrich our views. So with East meets West, as I said before, I mean, we are looking at role models. I mean, for us, it's not relevant what background the role model has. It's about really role models and really showing people of LGBTIQ business community as they are, right? So some of them, they might be even, I don't know, like family members. Is this something really typical for LGBTIQ? Well, not really. And some of them, they might have also, I don't know, like ethnic minority, ethnic background, or somebody, and so on and so on. So we really try to basically be not closing and only focusing on one dimension. No, for us, actually, every role model counts.
Thank you very much, Pavel.